Hey, it's James, Father's Rights and Resources, hashtag how I got cussy. I just looked at a comment on my most popular video that I've done. It's a guy from Australia who he proves my point as to what the number one problem is in family court in all of Western society, Canada, America, Europe, and Australia. The number one problem is men's fathers and men, our own cowardice, our own mentality to surrender in our minds before the battle has even started. This guy came on here and is telling me what Australia says and how things work, and he's totally full of it because if you walk around with your head tucked and you're like, woe is me all the time, you're probably not going to accomplish much in life. If you walk around at a job and you're in the warehouse and you're like, I'll never get promoted, I'll never that, you're probably right. This is the problem. This guy is just making up some bullcrap lie because he's looking at the results of a bigoted system instead of fighting the system. Let me show you what I mean. This is the problem here. So let's take a look at my page. This is kind of funny because I have a video that says 90% of dads win when they do this. And then this guy comes on my page and talks about 99% of the time the dads can't win because he has a mentally, he mentally assents to the defeatist mentality. So if you look at my most popular videos, and it's formatted differently on your phone, but if you scroll down, there's different sections. One of the sections is I actually started resources here, my online store. I break that down, and I talk about my rule of evidence video. But this talks about my flow page and all my links in one and how to go through it. That'd be a good idea for most of you to check that out. I'm putting a link of that to that in most of my to that video in most of my videos. But so this guy says,
Hey, it's James, Father's Rights and Resources.
okay, my number one argument for equal 50-50 custody. Look at what this guy says. Tyson Brown 1277 in Australia. In Australia, it's about the primary care or carer, the mother, which is obviously the mother 99% of the time. That's what it's all about. This guy is talking about what his personal experience is and the personal experience of other loser dads. I'm going to take a look at the actual law in Australia because he's full of crap, and I have links to Australia law, and the answer is right in front of him, and it's in all my videos. And he watched this video about the best interest of the child and all the arguments that people make, but he never made these arguments. He just surrendered to the idea that because women get custody most of the time, we'll never get help. Think about if you're in Australia, maybe you don't know about Jim Crow South, but the treatment of black people in America was that they could have, once they got some certain rights, they said, okay, you got certain rights, but you're going to have to stay on your own caboose in your own train. You have to drink from a separate water fountain. You have to stay on the other side of the tree. They called it separate but equal. They said, okay, we're cool with you black people as long as you stay over there. That's the way they looked at it. I respect you guys or whatever. Just stay over there. Stay out of our. And so they tried to say separate but equal provisions in life. Separate provisions are equal provisions. Well, when the kids are going to schools, no books, dilapidated buildings, all that stuff. Separate but equal is not equal. So U.S. Supreme Court fixed that in Brown versus Board of Education, but it took 60 years. My point is, the entire system was anti-people of color, or at least hardcore it was so in the Jim Crow South. Nobody would debate that, okay? So if I'm a civil rights attorney and I have the typical pussy mentality of a man in family court, I would say, "Oh, this is just so hard to overcome." And when the tide was turning and the momentum was going, and there was more televised protests or Martin Luther King or Malcolm X speeches or Black Panther speeches or activities. Like, look, these are equal human beings. We're being divided over the color of our skin and age old prejudices that were around for hundreds of years. So the culture started changing. But why did it change? Because a few people had the balls to challenge it. So this guy who made this comment, I got my computer over there. I'm going to flip back on. He said it's all about the mother. It's all about the primary caretaker. 99%. That's not what the law says. So Just like in Jim Crow South or in racist America, somebody had some balls to challenge the status quo, to challenge treating black people as second class citizens. It's time for you guys to grow some balls and challenge the status quo in Australia and challenge the bigoted sexism in the court system. But it takes you to have some balls. And these pussy little bitch made comments and mentality. Oh, well, the guy is looking at a video where I'm talking about how to argue in court, and he didn't do it, and he doesn't want to do it because he surrendered like a coward. Here's the root of the problem. Now, look at this. He said it's about the mother 99% of the time. Yeah, that's the result of a sexist system where your attorney doesn't stand up, you don't light a fire under your attorney, or when you represent yourself, you don't grow some balls yourself and unbrainwash the judges. That's what they did in Jim Crow South. They unbrainwashed the judges, they unbrainwashed people in power. You know, when they started desegregation and black kids were allowed to go to school, governors in the South and Mississippi in Alabama wouldn't let black kids go to school. So JFK sent the National Guard down. I think it was JFK sent the National Guard down to force the kids to go to school, to the same schools. So we had to force it with some people. So JFK didn't go, oh my gosh, it's so hard. I'm so scared of these governors down there. It's just 99% of the time they don't like black people. Somewhere along the line, someone's got to grow some balls. And if you're here on my YouTube channel telling me this is why men lose, this is why the system's corrupt, I already know why the system's corrupt. I won in court. I have thousands of guys who won in court. There's testimonies. If you look for the hashtag HIGC for how I got custody, HIGC testimony, you'll see several testimonies on YouTube. I had a bunch on Instagram, but my Instagram got banned. I don't want to hear your loser punk ass quitter mentality. I surrender to whatever the status quo is because I'm a peer pressure little zombie little bitch and I just follow, and I'm a sheep and I just follow what everybody says. Why don't you look at the law and argue your rights like a real man? So let's take a look at. So here we go again. So here's this comment. In Australia, it's all about the primary caretaker. No, it's not. That's not what the law says. The culture may be about that, and the judges may be about that, but you never grew some balls, or your lawyer didn't grow some balls to actually say something different in court and challenge the status quo because you got no gumption. You're a peer pressure little coward who wants to give, once somebody says something that, oh, this is the way it is. Oh, I'm sorry for even trying to buck the status quo and grow some balls and be a real man and fight for my kid. My kids aren't worth the fight. So under that same video, check this out. In my flow page, click on my flow page, and under that same video, when you scroll down, see the answers are right in front of your face, but you guys don't have enough balls to even look for them. When they're, if I saw James Christensen in 2001 at the beginning of my custody case, my 7-month custody war would have been 2 months or 3 months. I'm giving you guys all kinds of free game, and you're not even looking at it. So look at this. Links to specific state or country. Bam, Australia. I give people a father's rights lawyer out there is the first guy that I've ever seen say, I'm sick of attorneys not fighting. So I give a link to an attorney who may actually have some balls to fight for you. There's Beck Legal Group down there. I'm not sure exactly where he is. But the quote that he has on here, this guy, the fact that he has the audacity to call out attorneys to truly stand up for people, human rights is what it means to be a lawyer, and they've forgotten that. He's calling out the entire legal system. He has some balls, unlike all you other guys and all the other attorneys down there. Anyway, but here's a link to the 1975 Family Law Act. How come me over here in Seattle, Washington, in America, I know more about your law than you do? You sat here and lied on my page and lied to my followers and say if you're in Australia, you're going to get screwed because it's all about the mother. No, they went in and the mother said, I want custody, and your punk bitch ass didn't say, I want custody or I want 50-50. The problem is you didn't stand up for anything. I'm going to pause this and I'm going to find the exact subsection here. It's 65 something. Okay, in the Australia Family Law Act, Division 6, Subdivision A, basically 65 AA. The child's best interests are paramount, just like anywhere else in the world. And we're under a video where I show people how to argue that stuff. And this punk ass bitch just said, "Oh, we can't do that here because it's for the mother." This law provides that a court must regard the best interest of the child. Okay, and then 65 DAA, court to consider child spending equal or substantial significant time with each parent. So again, this guy didn't look at the law. He lied and make up some bull crap, and he's just giving in to the mentality and the culture of the system, and he didn't fight the right way. And he says it under a video where I tell people how to fight. My bitch ass punk gender.